Now let us take a journey through time to understand how organizational thought has evolved in response to changing societal, economic, and technological context. So the aim of this session is to have a clear understanding of how the early principles of hierarchy and task specialization have gradually given way to the flexible, adaptive, and people-centric organization models that we have today. So understanding this historical context is vital because many of the management challenges that we face today have their roots in the past practices that we had. Now, by examining how different eras have approached this concept of organizing people and resources, we can gain not only a foundation for theory, but also some practical insights for application in our modern organization. So, throughout this session, we will be covering four major phases of management practices. We will be covering the pre-classical era or the ancient civilizations first. Then we will move on to the classical organization theories that have been done during the 19th and the early 20th centuries. And then we look at the neoclassical approach that was developed during the mid 20th century. And then we will wind up with the modern theories that have been proposed since the late 20th and during the early 21st centuries. Okay, so let's get started. So let us learn or let us begin with this pre-classical era, that is the ancient civilizations, right? So definitely, do you think that our Ajanta Ellora caves or the Chola era temples or Taj Mahal or Qutub Minar, any of those things would have been possible without any sort of organizational or managerial skills? No, correct. This none of these things that we see around today, be it the pyramids or the Leaning Tower of Pisa, or as I said earlier, also the Ajanta Ellora caves. None of these things were result of one person um, doing something. They were all combined efforts. They were all a bunch of people coming together, definitely under the leadership of let's say one particular person. They will all be there, right? And under the leadership of that one person, all these people will work, and they will work in different areas, right? So say for example, if you take the temple construction, maybe one of these people will be in charge of the statues of the gods, another person might be doing the pillars, another person might be doing the something else, maybe the drainage systems or something else like that, right? But the main point here is there was one or maybe a couple of people who were directing on which all what all ways we can do it, or what should be done today, what should be done tomorrow, how the direction of that entire project has to be there, that a couple of people would be there. And there will be a lot of people. Usually what happens is that it is the king who commissions all these projects usually, right? But they did not have any MBAs or anything like that, like what we have right now. We have multiple specializations of MBA. They didn't have anything like that. They didn't even have primary schools, correct? No KG, nothing was there. But still they managed to do, and they have managed to do it wonderfully, that we are still taking lessons from them after all these many years, correct? So how did they do it without MBA? Right? They didn't have any university, they didn't have anything like that, but still they did it. So how is it? They must have had something alternative. Some alternative might have been there, right? That is why they were able to do it. They or maybe it is not similar to whatever we are having right now. They didn't have Chester Bernard, they didn't have Max Weber or Taylor, but they had their own systems. They had some sort of organizational methodologies with which they did it. So what were they? So let us look at that key characteristics of how ancient civilizations, the pre-classical era, did these kind of massive projects, right? Definitely, as I said, usually it is the king who commissions all these projects, and then so the king will appoint key acharyas, craftsmen who would be able to complete this project, and under those acharyas, under those craftsmen, there will be their trainees and things like that, the interns, trainees kind of people will be there who have experience, who have just joined like that, and then that work will be done, right? And each kind of work, if there is woodwork, that will be a different department. Stonework will be a different department, like that. Over there also we had departments. So hierarchy was there, right? Hierarchy was there. We could find hierarchy. That is one characteristic of the pre-classical era. They had a top-down structure. They had a centralized authority. Similarly, as I said, there was specialization. So, some people would do the stonework, some would be doing the carpentry, like that. So there was task specialization as well. Distinct roles were there. Who will plan? Who will be the laborers? Who will do the supervision? Like that. So, say for example, like we can even draw parallels to that with our caste system, right? It can be viewed as a crude version of the task specialization or job differentiation, things like that that we have right now. But definitely, like two sides of a coin, though, that led to a lot of, generational knowledge being there in, with particular sets of people. It had its own issues, which is the reason why we moved away from them. We are moving away from it. Similarly, as I said, this task specialization gives way to division of labor as well, right? Uh, Tasks will were distributed based on the skills and the responsibilities, and there were people who were responsible for. Let me just make some space to write it down. Right. Yeah. There. So hierarchy was there. Task specialization was there. Division of labor was there. Similarly, there were people who were responsible for the coordination and control of activities, right? So all these things can be said as features of the kind of management we had in the pre-classical era. So well and fine, this is how things were done in the past, okay, but what is there for us? That is our question, right? We are in the modern era. So why should we learn about pre-classical era? Why should we think about it? What can we take from them? What can we carry forward from them, whatever they were doing? That is the question here, right? So we can learn the importance of structured authority and communication rights, right? It is clear from the masterpieces that they were able to create that specialization does boost productivity. Say, for example, um, my grandfather or his great grandfather were carpenters. So whatever they learned, whatever mistakes they went through during their lifetime, definitely they will train their son, or right. And then with that knowledge of his father, he will do things. He will bring about new things to the processes, new challenges he will overcome, new discoveries he will make, which will be passed on to the next person. So generational knowledge, wealth as in knowledge, will be passed on. And maybe after certain generations, since the kids in that family or in that line, they will from the moment of maybe even conceiving, while they were in their mother's womb itself, it is said that newborn babies, while they were in their mother's wombs itself, with the sense of hearing, once it develops and all, they'll start listening to the surroundings, these sounds, and they can pick it up, it is said. So if you think about that, they would have started learning from their mother's womb itself, right? Where after they were born, from a very young age, they would have seen, they would grow up seeing everybody around him or her doing things in certain ways, and they will pick it up from a very young age. Now consider that person, okay, pitch that person to someone who is, let's say, in their 20s or 30s, and they are coming to learn carpentry for the first time. Earlier they might have grown up, maybe let's say this person comes from a line of blacksmiths. They the second person that we are talking about might have come up from a line of blacksmith. So that person might have grown up understanding about blacksmithy. But then maybe, let's say, at around 15, 20 years of age, he or she realized that blacksmithy is not for them, but maybe they have a abhiruchi, like they have a taste for carpentry. So if this person comes to this area and starts learning, definitely off the bat, this first person who grew up in the carpentry kind of household will have a better grasp of things than this person who has just begun, right? So who will you trust with if it is a very mission critical project? Definitely candidate number A, right? Because they have that generational understanding of things. Maybe after some time, depending upon how this person be ability to learn and things like that, they might get better, but this guy definitely has that starting advantage, right? So that is why we can say that specialization does boost productivity. That is why, right, even now, if you see, um, if, say, for example, you apply for a teaching job or apply for some kind of a role, if you have a degree in that, you need to have a degree in that core subject, right? Only then you will be considered. Otherwise, if the organization gets somebody who has a degree in that, or who has some sort of certification in that, they will pick up that person rather than pick you and then train you. Correct. Simple reason only. The simple reason is specialization. Specialization can boost the productivity. Similarly, efficient use of resources have been a core principle even in that pre-classical era. There are no accounts stating that they might have wasted any resources. Correct. So all these things can be learned, or can be taken as understandings of how we can manage organizations from the pre-classical era. Okay, so now let us move on to the next era, that is the So this was the pre-classical era. Now let us move on to the classical organization theory, which were developed during the 19th and early 20th century. So 19th century, this is the time of factories, railways, steel plants, and also the birth of structured management thinking. The prime focus of this era was on maximizing the efficiency through structure and control. And it is therefore during this time that we were also introduced to the foundational concepts in management theory. So, some of the major thinkers of this era were Frederick Taylor, who advocated scientific management. We all know scientific management, again, have been studying from SEM 1 onwards. I don't have to tell you again, emphasizing of on the task standardization. Frederick Taylor was the one who gave us the time and motion studies. Then we also have Henry Fayol during this era, who proposed the 14 administrative principles. Again, we have already studied about these 14 administrative principles during our first semester, so again, not going into it. Similarly, we also had Max Weber during that time, who developed the bureaucratic theory, which was characterized by hierarchy, rules, and impersonal relationships. Right. So there were a lot of critical thinkers. Many major theories have been developed during this 19th and early 20th century. And these principles are still being used in structured settings like manufacturing plants and all. But the problem is that the theories that were developed during this classical era, this 19th and early 20th centuries, they were very rigid and all, not almost, they treated humans uh, as another type of a resource, like land machine and things like that. Humans were resources, and the setting was also very rigid. There was no flexibility at all. It was a very impersonal approach. So therefore, there are a lot of criticisms also. Even at that time, there were criticisms to the theories that were developed during this time. And that is what led to the neoclassical approach in the mid 20th century. So whatever shortcomings or whatever, what you can say, criticisms we had for the classical organizational theories were tried to overcome during this theories developed during the neoclassical period, that is this mid 20th century. So the neoclassical era, it responded to the shortcomings of classical theory by focusing on the human behavior, motivation, and informal relationships that what you can say that developed within the organizations. When few people get together, definitely it is a start of new relationships. And the key thinkers of this time were Elton Mayo, who did that Hawthorne studies and revealed that social factors influenced productivity. You remember Hawthorne studies? Studied it in first semester? The same thing. Similarly, Chester Bernard. In the first unit, we saw Chester Bernard's definition of organization, right? The same guy, Chester Bernard, who viewed organizations as cooperative systems, and he emphasized communication and leadership. So coming to the key principles of this particular era, we can say that they focused on the employee morale uh, and satisfaction. Similarly, there was emphasis on open communication and democratic leadership. And there was recognition of the informal networks and formal structures within the organization. All the work that was done during this time shifted the attention of management to the psychological and the social needs of the employees, promoting a more flexible and inclusive management style. So while in the 19th and early 20th century, humans were treated as just land, labor, cattle, something like that, just another kind of a resource by the people who had the power and authority, neoclassical approach saw a shift from that kind of a resource uh, uh, from a kind of resource view to more of a humanistic approach. Like we started seeing humans as humans. How ridiculous, right? Anyway, that is how the world is evolving. Anywho, so coming to the modern theories, this is during the late 20th and early 21st century. Okay, so pre-classical era gave rise to so the pre-classical era is kind of like a what you can say, an old thing, and then you can and then there was some kind of a gap. You can think everything whatever we see today started from the classical organizations theory, started from the British Empire at that time, right? Yeah, so coming to the modern theories, which were developed during the late 20th and early 21st century, these theories integrate the earlier approaches of the classical theory and the neoclassical theories and interrelated, what you can say, they what they integrated all these approaches with whatever emerging complexities they were having during that time. So it is during this time that the computers and things like that started coming up. So it posed newer challenges. So they needed to adapt those earlier theories to the newer challenges. So that is how this whole modern theories emerged. So the key features of the theories that were developed during this time were adaptability, innovation, stakeholder responsiveness, and things like that, which we are still seeing, right? So the major theories of this era were the systems theory, similarly the contingency theory, then the open system theory, and the network theory. These were all the major theories that were developed during the modern era. So the key themes that keep repeating in these modern theories are agility, adaptability, innovation, continuous learning, employee empowerment, decentralization, all these things. And these models, these theories inform our modern practices like agile management and cross-functional teams, sustainability, all these things. Right. So that was a quick overview of unit number 2. This is what is discussed in this particular unit. I hope you got an overall understanding of the things here, and you are better focused to learn the things. All right then. So until I see you in the next video for unit number 3, I'm signing off. Happy learning. All the very best for your exams and have a great day.